when everything goes wrong and when you lost everything. What gives you the strength to move on in life? That was the question, and that was the very reason why the chapter 5 it is Psalm kat naisurat. He lost his throne, he lost his friends, he lost the support of his people, he lost his son. And yet he moves on. Well, there will come a time iti panagbiag tayo nga the same thing would happen. Ada lagi mapukaw tayo, ada lagi dyan problema ng umay. And we in the time kat dumtang di chimpo kat we feel useless and we feel hopeless in life. For some people who could not take it anymore, they would just commit suicide, for that is the best way for them to do it. For some people, they will complain and they will be offended by God because they think God has forsaken them. Some, they would betray the faith. And for some, for a while siguro, nag-focus them. And later on, they will just go back later on. They will just come back to faith after nga mabagaran ti naupa-upay nga rignada. Well, at Psalm chapter 5 kat at the occasion duang occasion why this Psalm chapter 5 was written. And the scholars the Psalm chapter 5 Konada, probably this was the time when David was running away from King Saul, and King Saul tried to kill ni King Saul, and may isang okasyon he was running away from his son who liked to kill him, ni Absalom. Well, anyway, the situation is the same. What makes David move on iti panagbiag iti Apo despite of that situation nagad iti troubles kasi iti troubles iti biag, whether that is in the time ni Saul or whether that is the time ni anak na ni Absalom. Well, iti chapter 5 nga nati verse 12 ada iti limang rason, reasons that kept this man hanging on in the faith despite of the painful situations that he had been iti panagbiag na. And if there will come a time iti panagbiag mo nga you are also in the same situation, you are in big trouble, the book of Psalm chapter 5 was written for you nga kastoy mati aramidam. Well, iti ulo iti meditation and sa uti ako kada tayo iti Arabic at this days, the warrior's inspiration for the day. The warrior's inspiration for the day, and iti title na rin ko, it is a morning prayer. It was usually prayed in the morning, asking for God's guidance throughout the day. Iti sitwasyon sangon na as he faced another day and he lost everything. He is in big trouble. Mabalbaling kat maturog lang ko very disappointed is una. And yet, the Bible said in chapter 5, he faced the day with great inspiration from his God. Well, the first point kamaral tayo concerning dito, what made this warrior inspired throughout the day, motivated throughout the day, strong in hanging on in the faith just throughout the day, despite of the situation that a lot of people have turned their back. Well, the first is this. He has a listening God. He has a listening God. That's one thing that made him strong. That made him make this prayer. Isu tirason in surat na dating Psalm. He made this psalm in remembrance And as an expression of his trust nga, dating at Diyos na nga nagtalka na itibiyag na kat he is a listening God. Kita nyo verse 1 and 3. Kita nyo dito, give ear to my words, O Lord. Consider my meditation, referring to the deep things that is in his mind and in his heart. Lord, you know all these things. Kunana dia, give ear to my words. This is one thing kapag yamanan ni David kiniapo Diyos. What makes his God different from the other gods? His God is a listening God. What makes his God so different from other people? Kat nagadayo tinaduma that you need to go jay ng atong bantay. You need to do something parigatan da tibagbagida at nagdungag niya po Diyos. So I am reminded the chimpo ni Elijah and the prophet Baals. The prophet Baals, they more than 500 nga propeta ni Baals, and they have a challenge na kararga kaniya po Diyos, and they will beg for a fire nga matinag rumar hilangit nga pura na di sacrifices the prophet of Baals were shouting there. They were shouting and shouting there. They were doing the best they can. And kuna ni Elijah, pigpigsahan niyo pa, baka paspasyar ni Apo Diyos yu. Pigpigsahan na katawan latat. Pigpigsahan niyo pa, baka ni Apo Diyos yu. Ada jay siar. Pigpigsahan niyo pa, maramdam na katnisi to the point nga parigatan na gid-gid-gidan dati bagida, and yet the God of the prophet of Baals did not listen to them. And when it's time for Elijah to display his offerings, and he prayed to the Lord, nothing nagtiapoy di langit, and he burned the sacrifice. Binuyat-buyetan na pa itidanong the sacrifice nga di altar nga di, which is impossible to be burned. Well, here we can see the situation ni David. Kuna ni David, give ear to my words, O Lord. Lord, you are a listening God. You are a creator of everything. And not only a creator, but a sustainer of everything. Not only a sustainer of your children, kundi kiti makita, but even the dust iti langit, iti tangatan, iti atmosphere, and everywhere the dust is flying. Kuna ni John Calvin, awan iti may nga dust nga agkutkuti out of God's direction kanya na. Even the dust are directed by God nga, anya ti pagtinagan ti tapok nga reta. It was ordered by the Lord, ay na ti paparana. Awan pulos iti event iti lupong nga makatakas kanya mga pulis. You know everything. And Lord, since you know everything, you have seen everything, even from eternity past, dear God, iti may satatal ka kanya. Haan ka lang nga na marswa nga nangaraming nga magsususnat ti aming iti kasapulan iti anak mo, but you are also a listening God. You care iti boses ko. And what is in my voice? Na-attractive kanya. Lord, I am just a sinner. What is in this voice that will arrest iti lapayag mo? But Lord, this is one thing apag yamanak. As your child, as your man, as your appointed man, you hear, you listen to my prayer. Oh God, listen, give ear to my words. Consider my meditation. Kahit nangasawan, even though nakapsutak nga tao, Lord, this is one thing apag yamanak kanya. You consider, Lord, you are a God who not only listen to my prayer, but kitkitamat ada jeno nagkuno niya ti sitwasyon ko. Sometimes in our pains we could not express it. Iti ngiwat tayo dagi dadagsan tayo. We just sit down in the room tayo. Or probably takot tayo lang ijay and awan tangtangan tayo lang kasawanan niya ako, but deep in the hearts and our minds katado ti panunutan tayo. Asking and begging for the Lord, Lord, I am in pain, and my mouth could not even speak my pains. And kuna ni David, dahito iti pagsabalayan na dito nga Diyos. You cannot hang ka lang nga Diyos nga dengam yi buses nga rumrumar tingiwat ko, but you could also listen to the groanings that is inside my heart, that is inside my mind, nga kung may pukaw tingiwat ko because of deep pain and deep depression and troubles and disappointments in life. Lord, oh God, listen to my cry, even my deep cry in my heart. The verse 2 ko na, hearken unto the voice of my cry, my King, my God, for unto you will I pray. He cried to the Lord. Why did he cry? Because he has a listening God. What made him strong throughout the day? What made him strong? Iti kapadasan na. What inspired him throughout the day? Ada di chimpo ganado ng agring suna, agtuloy latang ag trabaho, agsilbi ti Apo, talken na lati Diyos na, nga sanguna iti aldaw nga niya. Who gives him the motivation to live throughout the day? He's listening God. He could listen to the voice, and he could listen to the deep cry of the heart and the mind. He is a listening God. Second dito verse 4 hanggang 6. What makes him strong in his daily endeavors and throughout the day? Who made him strong? Not only iti Diyos na agdangdangag, but he has a righteous God to rely on. A righteous. It means awan ti kamalikan yan. He will never commit mistake. It is impossible for God to sin. Awan ti kamali iti desisyon kung wagas kung di panangipalubos na iti sitwasyon. Even in his allowing the devil to touch us, and even in the permission of wickedness to happen in our lives and troubles, hangan ng ti Diyos nga hanamo dito. And God is not unrighteous. He knows what is best, and He knows it perfectly. His purpose and His intention why allowing these things. Amo na dito, it is perfect. Kita niya 4. For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness. Lord, I know that you are a God nga amo nga kahit nga katawan da iti anak mo. Nga agbalbaligi iti baso. You are a God who is righteous, that you don't like that iti nga baso nga mangdadadal iti anak mo. Neither shall evil dwell with thee, or iti kinadakas katawan kanya. There is no imperfection. There is no wickedness. There is no error kanya na. The foolishness shall not stand in thy sight, even the foolish. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity. He is a God who hates sins, and He could not make sin. He will not allow anything without any good intention. Everything has a perfect purpose. Thou shalt destroy them that speak lies. The Lord will hate the blood and deceitful men. Here is the righteous God. It talks about His justice. Could you see this justice? Ibalas natin. Lord, you are a God who would defend me. The reason I could wake up again this morning, the reason why I can face again this day, is not only that I have a listening God, but He is a God who is able to defend me. He is a righteous God, and He is an avenging God. He will avenge His children. Bakit tayo di nga point na? But as for me, I will come into thy house in the multitude of mercy. He is a merciful God. That's the third point. Not only that He has a righteous God, He has a merciful God watching over him. And in thy fear I will worship toward the holy temple. It's mercy. He sees my pain and He empathizes with my pain. He feels my pain. Di pa rin sa buyaan na, dungdungan na, kanilaban na, isakit na. Dahil nga Diyos katana lang adungdungan, isakit na. Dahil nga Diyos katana pa yung haan nga dahil lang adak pa nakabalin na nga mangitakber, makirikrik na pa isun at irikrik na, dagitanak na kantatao na. He is a merciful God. I am reminded when He displayed His mercy, di chimpo nga pinatay ni Cain ni Abel. Where is your brother? Insakit na ni Abel. Sangsangit tidara na. Malagip yung kani. Insakit na ni Stephen. Hindi chimpo nga patayon na ni Stephen. He was there when ni Stephen. I could see the Son of God standing at the right hand of Diyos, indicating He feels the pain of His martyred man. Malagip yung kanina, kinonfront ni Kristo Jesus ni Saul. Why are you persecuting me? Could you see the mercy of God in His people? He does not only listen to His people, He is not only a righteous God who is able to avenge His people, but He is a merciful God who feels with the pains and frustrations of His people. So, kitaan nyo rito, verse 8. Lead me, O Lord, in thy righteousness, because of mine enemies. Make thy way straight before my face, asking for deliverance. For there is no faithful in their mouth, Lord. There is no faithfulness in their mouth. The inward part is very wickedness. Their throat is an open sepulchre. They flatter with their tongue. Destroy thou them, O God. Let them fall by thy own counsels. Cast them in the multitude of their transgression, for they have rebelled against thee. Here is the warrior's plea. Lord, be merciful to me. I am asking, Lord, avenge me. Lord, avenge me. Kita ninyo verse 11, but let all those that put their trust in thee rejoice. Let them ever shout for joy, because thou defendest them. We have a God who will defend them. A righteous, avenging, defending God. Let them also that love thy name be joyful in thee. For thou, Lord, will bless the righteous. With favor will thou compass him as with a shield. That's the promise of God to this warrior. That it talked me David, Lord, that was your promise. That's why, even though I've lost everything, yet I move on in the faith. I face this day with strength and courage because I have a listening God, I have a righteous God, I have a merciful God watching over me. And that is the inspiration of David. Throughout the loss of his life, when he lost his office, when he lost his reputation, when he lost everything, that was the comfort in David. That is his inspiration for the day. So, ito tikalat kita tayo. Dodumtang tichimpo, and God will allow pain and sufferings in life. Go back to chapter 5 this Psalm. Remember how to face the day in God's way. And let David remind you. You remember that you have a listening God. You remind yourself that you have a righteous God to rely on. Remind yourself that you have a merciful God watching over you, and He will avenge you. Remind yourself of that truths to give you inspiration, strength throughout the day. We don't like to be depressed because even the body is affected, mind is affected. And sometimes the only thing akataramidan is to sleep in bed. Sometimes but for some people they just go round and round and may bagati birikrik nada, but they put in, they are hurting. Awan matituditi matim tatiluati matana, but they put in our hearts kataksang sakit. And sometimes in those days and in those situations, we feel as if we are forsaken by God. Brothers, and in those situations, sometimes we don't like to face another day. Let this psalm teach you again, give you the strength as you woke up every day. May this psalm give you the strength to remind you at timatalaman Diyos mo. To the Jewish people who are in big trouble, in the morning Dahil ito ti pagkantaan ng Lord. They prayed this psalm, Lord, just like the prayer ni David. Hear my cry. They go back to Psalm chapter 5 and they pray this prayer to give them inspiration, strength, and motivation throughout their troubled day. Brother Aris, let's close the prayer.
Pray, most praise God, and my Father, I keep the time, and thank you for your word to remind us the karakteran niya, you have your word, and pagkaraan at mabasa ni sa song. You have reminded us you're there for us. We have to remember you're gracious and merciful. When your great love was written here, that you fight for the anak mo, for the righteous and we pray na sila natin magtuloy ang comfort. Kita kami pamilya namin, hindi kapsat ng nawan nito yun. Hindi tunggal ba isa, us by heart, Father, and our needs, hindi ka sa atin. We just thank you and glorify you with you. Saya hindi tunggal ba isa. We pray, siya tulong ka na kami to live righteously, to be a blessing, and the do mga tao, which nang makita na wisdom at panagbihan, they would also be comforted by your word, they would be comforted by you, and we thank you. So, blessed child, dito tawag ka ng kararagmi, hindi mo mapatuloy ang namin ni Yesu Cristo.
Thank you very much, Tia Rami. And,